meeting of the Board of Trustees will be held on June 15, 2021, beginning at 6 p.m. This meeting will be held in the boardroom at the H.J. McAllister Administration Building located at 527th Street. The meeting will be audible to the public at the link provided in this notice. The form of the Board of Trustees will be in attendance at the boardroom, and members of the public may attend the meeting in person. Subjects to be discussed or considered upon which formal action may be taken are listed below. Items do not have to be taken in the same order as shown on this meeting notice unless removed for the consent agenda. Items identified within the consent agenda will be acted upon at one time. Members of the public are permitted to address the board in person during each board meeting. Speakers must sign up in advance of the meeting. If you wish to submit a request to comment on any agenda item for tonight's meeting, fill out the form, and so we have a few of those here. And so we'll call this meeting to order now, and I can certify that we have a quorum of the board present with 6 of the 7 trustees. And so item 2, audience with patients. And so we have a few signed up, and I'll just remind everybody that the topics that are to be spoken in public comments tonight have to be on tonight's agenda. This is a special meeting. If you have any other topics that you want to speak on that aren't on the agenda, any regular meeting, you can speak on any topic that you like. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. You can't defer your time to someone else. And if there's any complaints or if there's any complaints that we don't address an employee by their name or by their position, that would certainly entitle you to say the name. So we'll start with Jerry again. Jerry, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
The rest of the board, greetings everybody. All right, here my name is Jerry Manning for the record, and I just have a few questions for the board concerning what's going to be on the agenda for tonight. Number one, when I was on the school board, I just got off the school board, and we've been noticed since I believe 1997, consecutively, up to Dr. Scott got here and started to take it just a bit. But minority students were very last in every grade level and every category. And they were number 1 in discipline, followed by special ed students, 20-something years. And we said that we're going to set goals, put goals in place to address that for minority students. And my question is, have we started setting those goals? And have we made any goals yet that we can make public that will take care of our minority students while at the same time raising the roof of those kids that are excelling, right? We got started doing that. I do not want to see us lose ground in that area. My next question is, have we even started to set goals at all with the school board? Where we at with our goal set? We're supposed to have that in order. We're working on that already. School just got out, and so we're starting back here really, really soon. My next question is, I want to see a record of how caught up we are with our board training so that we can learn what it is and what it we cannot do while we're on the school board. There's certain rules that we have to follow, certain etiquette that ought to be in place that we represent this district and this community. My other question, we can't say names, so I can't say Dr. Scott's name, so I won't say Dr. Scott's name, but did not win Superintendent of the Year last year. We were really proud about that, right? And then he signed a contract with the district in partnership for 2 more years about 6 months ago. And we're really, really excited about that. And then it kind of broke me to hear about that there's going to be a meeting already whether or not to settle his employment with the district. And I understand that it may be because of some disciplinary actions or whatever happened, some administrative move that was made. And I wonder if the board understands when you go to your training, the board is not to be involved in administrative decisions. The board's job is to set goals and set high goals. And then take that man and hold him accountable and hold his feet to the fire and make sure he follows those goals, not tell him what to do administratively. I wonder if we're taking care of that. This 2-year contract I signed about 6 months ago, which means there's a 1.5 years left on this man's contract, and we're going to go back and deliberate whether or not we have a contract of this young man or not. And let's say if we settle that contract, then we're going to have to pay a 1.5 years salary. That ain't cheap. And while we're paying this salary, we're going to be paying another superintendent to come in. And guess what? We're gonna raise the bar in Bay City. You ain't coming in for cheap. You know how much money that's gonna cost us? And we already just built all of these schools and this stadium and invested in raises for our teachers and our bus drivers and our food service professionals, all these people. How can we call ourselves responsible for taxpayers' money to be making some kind of decision like that that costs even much more money? So I have to be in somewhere.
That's 3 minutes.
Is that 3 minutes?
If you want to finish a final thought, I'm on that question. I know your passion.
I appreciate that. Thanks for that. Okay, my final thought is definitely this. Let us remain professional. I've already started to see some stuff on social media. Let's not, as a board, any of us, put the jabs out on social media to represent a whole district, not just our friends, not just our peers. Please, I beg you that. There's nothing legal. I just ask you to do that. That helps my community, helps me serve you. And Juneteenth will be this weekend. I would invite all y'all out to Gun Park. We'll have a great celebration. That's after our Independence Day. We didn't get it in 1776 because we hadn't formed a labor union yet. So we got it in 1865, and we got a big celebration. I want to see all y'all there to help us celebrate. They said, thank y'all for what you do. I know it's hell to serve, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before I call the next name, just one more clarification. Jerry asked questions. Obviously, we didn't answer those. We can't answer any questions. We can interact with the audience except you ask or go make a clarifying statement. So you're free to obviously speak about the item on the agenda. Danielle Mann. We shouldn't yield time.
Yes, she did. I ain't talking. She the other time. She ain't giving up information.
That's where you said we couldn't yield time to other people.
She the other time. She ain't speaking.
Just pass. Okay, just pass it. I misunderstood this. Sharita Holt.
Okay, so today my comments are in regards to the discussion of the superintendent contract. So I try to follow the board really closely here, try to keep up with it because I have 5 and I have 4 kids in addition. So I was pretty shocked when I saw that the contract was up for discussion. And as somebody who keeps their ear to the ground, I have a pretty big following. Like I try to keep up with everything, and a lot of information just comes. So I started searching, looking for any information that I could that I wasn't already keeping up with, as far as the contract and the school report card and this and that. So I was just curious, like I was wondering, like what could have happened in 6 months that warranted for this man to be all of a sudden have this huge legal discussion about the employment. It just baffled me because I didn't understand. Nobody was no like disciplinary issues. I hadn't seen anything like that happen, so it was just really confusing. Especially when the amount of his contract to be paid out is so heavy. Like my mom has been working for this district for almost 40 years. So if we pay him out, that means she don't get a raise. That means all these teachers that take care of my kids, they don't get a raise. Like I have so many friends and people that work for the district, like it's crazy. Like programs like the stuff that's going on at the junior high, we should be getting things together for them. The bullying, the drugs being sold, this is not take away from. So it's like I'm just confused as to why we're spending time and like money on this when, if you think about it, I put myself in Dr. South or the superintendent's shoes. He wins. You're getting paid, and you're getting to go get a whole nother job, and we are paying somebody else to do a job that this man just signed. We extended his contract. So it just doesn't make sense for that to be something that needs to be even on this table at this point in time right now. We got too much going on, just coming out of a pandemic and stuff. So I just feel like the only people that would suffer right now would be the teachers, the district, the kids, my mom. So I feel like that just really needs to be thought about. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll clarify again, The superintendent's contract for discussion is on the agenda. You can say superintendent. It's not a bad word. Angela Eden.
Fellow board members, I'm very nervous about what this is. I graduated in 1993, never attended anything to do with the school boards. My kids graduated from here. My daughter signed up to process technology to take a class. She went to college for 2 years. Her and 3 black girls that passed the class, they did get accepted for the job. That impressed all 3 of the young ladies, but that was something that y'all spoke about. So I'm changing my life. I'm having events in my community. The superintendent did come out and support me. I had a lot of research about it. I haven't heard anything negative about it, but I saw that the TEAS test, the STAR test, those test grades went up. But this year, because of the COVID or whatever, a lot of stuff went downfall. Whatever y'all do, and y'all doing it, and you have to really mean it. It's time out for this. Oh, who is on the board, or who is that? You know, I'm still shaking while I'm up here because I'm a colored person. Y'all don't welcome us. I was sitting out there for about 30 minutes. One person spoke to me. I seen people walking through, not no one. I seen her, I seen that one, not nobody said, ma'am, can I help you? You wonder why a lot of us not in here? We have several in here now because don't nobody acknowledge us, accepted us. He came out and supported us. He didn't have to. He doesn't know anything about any of us. He's from somewhere else. But I've heard a lot of great things about the superintendent. I want to continue to hear things about it. Why would you waste time to put somebody else in? It's not going to change anything. But I've been watching the media. Things are going to go downhill. COVID is not the only pandemic we're about to have. Come August, come in July, I'm just thinking about it because I pray to God. We're gonna be suffering because it's gonna be too hot, not enough water. And I guarantee the superintendent's gonna come out to one of my things that I thought for the community and say, do y'all need some water? Now, every time we look up about something, I never heard anything bad about this man. I looked up the resource that the government teaches or it was things about disciplinary, romantic action, things that go on. Never found anything. I seen where he's invited the public to come to these meetings. Now, just like I was feeling out there, why do you think we, as a parent, will come out here and nobody acknowledges us? We're still not getting acknowledged today. Whether he leaves or goes, he's still taking the money with him, and y'all gonna put somebody else in here with some more money. Exactly, right? And it's very funny. It's only 2 of y'all colored people up there. I thought everything was equal opportunity. That's what y'all always quote. We're all equal. This ain't about my kids. My kids are done. I had a special needs child, Kobe Eden. He graduated 2 years ago. You know what I had to do? I had to mail his diploma back to the school. They made a mistake. So he had to go to school 2 more years, and the teacher, she put his diploma in a backpack. I said, well, is Kobe not graduating tonight? Oh, he graduated 2 years ago. He don't need to do it again. You know how that made me feel? Number 1, that the school didn't care. Number 2, I could have took it to Dr. Scott. He had already done so much wonderful things, but why bring up that? I've been on Kelly Hunt for years. These people are my classmates, church members. We all here for one another. And I'm sitting up here about to cry because it's always changing with us. I'm a bad person, but I'm changing my life because I have 3 kids that I want to see something done better for before I leave this world. I have a bad record, but I've been praying to God. I'm trying to make my community better. Whether you guys accept us or come to any of my events, we're still gonna be there. And we still gonna tell our kids, you have to succeed in life to make it. We can't go around hitting people because we don't have no money or the education is not there. I see you looking at the time. It's all about the time, right? It's okay.
I'm trying to be
still gonna
very
talk.
respectful of everybody, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I
That's
just wanted to
fine.
give you the opportunity to finish your thoughts, that's all. Yes, ma'am.
You gonna give me an opportunity to finish? I thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I've never even heard of you. I've been in Bay City all my life. None of y'all except Phil Robinson. I just met this guy. I met that lady because she knows my daughter. You know what we do? It's not gonna be better for us just because we get somebody every year. I was researching, y'all had a guy back last year when Frankie Cole was alive. He didn't do too good. Somebody spoke about him because he wasn't doing district policies. If that means the superintendent and y'all are supposed to support him and back him up, why aren't y'all doing that? Why are we even here? If that's what y'all supposed to do. It's hard enough that he by himself, he's trying to take care of all the schools. But he have y'all to support him and help him. If he done something wrong, he can admit it, forgive him. Think about yourself. What if you was in his shoes? Would you want this meeting to go on, or would you want your child to be coming to basic high school or in the school district saying, well, we just talked to the superintendent about getting us something and he's making a way to make this decision. I seen y'all got all kinds of scholarships, y'all got kids that can get college credits. I wish that was available when I was going to school. I'd probably be having a bachelor's degree. To sit up at the courthouse for me, no, they wouldn't hire me. It don't have nothing to do with color. We're sprinkled all over the world like pepper that you cook with. We're not going anywhere, but we still have to respect one another and it's future kids coming to this school. Y'all may have grandkids or children that's gonna go attend any of these schools with things that's going on. And I guarantee you, if you remove this man and put somebody else, it's gonna be another crisis. And then you're gonna lose money because you'll be back at home, sitting at the computer trying to teach a child that's at home is not gonna want to learn. Whether you have given them a free laptop or phone or whatever, they're not gonna pay attention because it don't matter. You understand what I'm saying? So why y'all gonna waste money? He's still gonna get the money, but why don't y'all bring somebody else? And like he said, you have teachers that been here. Acknowledge them, give them raises, just like the man out there sweeping. Have any of y'all ever asked him, would you like another position besides cleaning up? Have any of y'all ever asked him, would you like to be a teacher's aide? Would you like to help in the sports kitchen or anywhere? I don't think so. You just see him and speak to him and watch him mop and pick up trash. You got people you can hire for different things that you need right here. Why would we take him? He hasn't had no college. He's just a janitor. She's just a janitor. Give them opportunity. Why won't you give them opportunity? Keep this man and see what else y'all all can do together. This school is beautiful. The school I went to was the old school. Oh, and we had good times at the old school. The teachers really cared back then. These just looking for something to do and go home to their families. You know, it'll be all right. It's gonna be all right for us. But we need to talk to God, and whatever God tells you, don't turn. Keep this man in place where he at, and y'all set the goals, and y'all board people support him. And when he make the wrong decision, don't be scared to say, I don't think we need to do this, superintendent. We need to change it to this way. Just because you my friend, or you may be my wife, or you may be my sister or cousin, or we just clicks together and barbecue together. Don't be as scared to say when somebody's wrong. Just tell them. Okay, I'm done.
Kim Willis.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm here because I saw the agenda being discussed about the superintendent's position being in question. And I can tell you as a citizen in the community, I've had 3 boys who graduated from Bay City High School, 7 and 12, both my younger boys. And the leadership that we had at that time wasn't what we have today. And a lot of times we stand in a place where we don't even know what we have until it's gone. So you guys seen something in his record or in his experience that qualified him for you to even bring him here. And then for him to be here and still get his contract extended, and then to throw away, you know how much money it is, we won't discuss that, but you know what the money is, we can use definitely, we see all kinds of deficits taking place in our district. Where the students can use some more education. I myself have brought a, well, we're all here under one primary agenda, and that's our children, right? That they succeed, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, or whatever, we're all here that they succeed. So with that being said, we all know they're all not D1, or all not going to university, all not qualified for scholarship, and we ain't even gonna help them. And you guys know, well, people have money to give, right? So we're not giving them the monies out of our pockets to go. So the leadership that we have in place now, during the pandemic, we saw those numbers. Numbers don't lie, right? So under his leadership. So with that being said, I brought a barber school to this community. And a lot of our kids are gifted in that area, white, black, Hispanic, so on. So I came to him and he welcomed me with open arms. He don't know me from nobody. I'm not even from Bay City. I've been here 25 years though. And so I feel like I have a voice in the community as well. And anything I can do to help. Gary Brown and Carl Brown was my boys, and Andre Brown was my oldest son. They graduated in 7. And I stand for what's right. So whether it's him or whether it's one of y'all, if you do what's right, the right's gonna come out of it. And apparently you saw something right in his record when you guys selected him to come here. So with that being said, the money that we'll be giving him to leave under the contract in 6 months, at where we stand at, you'll be investing in somebody else's children, some other school district, because his gift is gonna make room for him. Wherever he goes, it's gonna show up. So we want to continue to see our kids succeed under his leadership. Body against itself can't stand. So if we are all supposed to be one, you guys are supposed to be supported behind him as a district, then you too must be supported with him, because divided against him, nothing's gonna get done. So whether it's in here or whether it's in the church or whether it's in your house, husband and wife divided against itself is not gonna stand, right? So then why would you be divided against the leadership that we selected him to come here, and now you don't even want to work with him? And what has he done to be denoted that he needs to be disqualified from his position? It doesn't make any sense to me. But nevertheless, so the question is asked, why would we spend money to sow seed in somebody else's garden when our children here can benefit from that very blessing that has been given to us, right? So like I said, you won't know what you have until it's gone, and you see the excel in somebody else's community, somebody else's children and their grandchildren see the benefits of his expertise, of his position. So with that being said, I wanted to show my support to his leadership. I want to tell you thank you myself for welcoming me into the community as a educator myself, and offering our children the opportunity to be able to, we don't want to lose anybody's kids just because they don't have a mind to be studious in a 4-year college, or even get a degree in business or anything like that. We still have technical trades that we can offer our children. And he heard me out. I came to him with questions he asked, he listened, and we had meetings thereafter. And we don't want to lose any of our kids in the shuffle. And under his leadership, I believe that if you give him the chance that he's due, I think that you'll see the benefits of him being here in our district. Thank you.
Kim Willett, that's
Yes.
Felicia Parks. Ms. Felicia, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Let me take my time. I'm looking, but first of all, I want to thank Dr. Mark Scott for accepting the position of our superintendent. I appreciate you and I honor you. I'm also a nonprofit, and I came to you. Well, first of all, let me back it up. God gave me a vision going into middle standards. I didn't know how to start, where to start, no kind of idea, but I know that I wanted to bring it to the school district. That's when we mentored the youth male, ages 5 to 18, suicide, bullying, gangs, anything deemed necessary for this generation. So I called Dr. Scott's secretary, set up a meeting with him. I believe it probably was the same day that he met with me, we sat down, he gave me an action plan, and he helped me bring clarity and revelation to what God gave me. So this man not only has all these schools that he's working with, he's also working with people like me and people like Mrs. E in the community. So you're not just taking him away from the school district, you would also be taking him away from our community. And that's what Jason has to our community. So With that being said, I'm not a long-winded person. Think about what you're doing because the contract, like I'll piggyback off of more, my brother right here, Jerry Manning, piggyback off of him. It makes no sense. Superintendent of the year, only 6 months into the contract, I don't understand it. So that's the question that I have. I don't understand it. Help me to understand it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Rosalind White. Rosalind, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Just kind of sitting back there, pondering what it was I was gonna say, kind of all day, trying to get my thoughts together. Trying to figure out, the fact that we are even here tonight having this discussion about it. I mean, Jerry Manning said it best. A year ago, this man made superintendent of the year. He was on top of the totem pole. 6 months ago, contract was renewed. Why are we here? What happened within the last 6 months that denotes that this conversation is even being had on tonight? Kind of sat in my seat and just kind of wondered, why are we here? All of my kids have graduated from Bay City High School. I graduated myself back in 1989. I have some amazing grandchildren who are reared up in this great city of Bay City. So truly we are an equal opportunity place. I'm truly not worried about my grandkids have to be raised in a society or a school system who is prejudiced. Truly, I'm not having to worry about that. So truly, we're not here because Dr. Scott is an African American man. This is not why his contract is on the rise, and I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like race. I don't even like discussing it because it's not something that I want Bailey in to have to ever. And I thought about bringing them here tonight because I remember there was a time when we were segregated and we had to see these things. So I thought about bringing my grandkids tonight because I wanted them to see. When I look over here, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because we should be above and beyond this. We shouldn't even have to be here anymore. A man that you guys brought in, y'all brought him in. You brought him in because you thought he was qualified for the position. There's a scripture in the Bible says that those that are without sin cast the first stone. So if I put a stone on you and put a stone to you, 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 put a stone to you. If anybody can sit up here and say, I've never done anything ever wrong. Come on. If you can tell me that, even as we voted y'all in. A lot of you guys are sitting up here and I'm looking at y'all, I voted you in, I voted for you. But I can guarantee you that not all of y'all have crossed every I and dotted every T. So if I tell you to take that stone and cast it at me, because you've never done anything wrong, I don't even expect to believe I got a bruise tonight. I don't know what denoted this man for y'all to be even talking about his contract or it being up on tonight. I don't know what it is he's done that's so bad. Because all the things that I've heard about Dr. Scott have been amazing.
Yes.
Have been wonderful.
That's right.
It speaks for itself. If nobody here says another word on tonight, what he has done and brought to Bay City speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, guys. This man has done an amazing job. Andy said it. It's not just about the Bay City Independent School District. That's amazing, that's wonderful. But there's a community that this man has reached out in the community. He has touched many lives out there. He's done, and is doing some amazing things. So someone said it's not just about taking them from Bay City Independent School District, but it's about taking them away from our communities.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know what this is about, but this is what I'm going to ask you all to do. Do some soul searching, because it's not me that you got to answer to. It's not them that you got to answer to. But you got to stand before a God who is greater than all of us. And the Bible says that he does not look at the outward appearance of a man, but he looks within the heart. So you can fool me all day, but you can't fool him. That at the end of the day, when you make your decisions, make sure that your decisions are in the right standing with God. Because if not, you're going to have to answer to him.
Everybody that signed up had a chance to speak? Okay. Item 3, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074, deliberate regarding the employment of a public officer or employee, including the superintendent contract term, and consult with legal counsel regarding the same. So we will take item 3 in closed session and see that. exit closed session and come back into open session at 8:17 p.m. Open session, item 4, consider and take any action deemed necessary based on closed session deliberation and consultation. And so I'd just like to clarify that anytime we talk about an employee, whether it's superintendent or any employee in the district, that we do so in closed session. And that could be giving a raise, a bonus, extending a contract, not extending a contract, negotiating a buyout, anything that could cause any changes to a contract or any actions or any relationships. And so terminating the superintendent was never on our hearts tonight. And so we'll just start there. There is no action to be taken as a result of our closed session. And we look forward to working with Dr. Scott and our team of HR coming up very soon. So. Ms. Angela, I need to get to know you a little bit better because I don't.
Wait.
You don't know me and I don't know you. I would love to know you. I know Miss Felicia and I've helped some of her causes, and I know Rosalind and we've worked on some things. And I'm the coordinator for the Marine Corps Toys for Tots and give toys away to thousands of kids in Matador County. So our efforts in Christ and in the community, and I would like to get to know you and your efforts a little bit better. So.
Well, I would love to join you.
Thank you, ma'am. So thank everybody for coming out. I hope y'all hang out for the budget presentation.
Thank y'all for everything.
Thank y'all for everything. Thank you for the war on kids, man. Every time there's a meeting, all we do.
More than this.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5, budget workshop 2021-2022. Presenter is Rick Johnson, the Chief Financial Officer. Rick, how you doing tonight?
I'm just fine, thank you. What I have here is actually the same presentations that I presented previously. And what I wanted to do is bring it back up and see if there's any additional questions that, if there's any additional questions on what was presented before, and entertain any questions. If you want me to go through it again, I'll be glad to go through it again.
Highlight the changes, if any.
Oh, there was one minor change in function 12, which was library science, media services, where I reduced the salaries there $20,800 from the budget.
So that helped us?
And
Yeah.
that is being paid for out of ESSER funds, correct? Those will be paid for out of?
Okay, no, on this particular,
Okay.
with this particular,
Was he able to stream?
okay, sorry. Okay. Anyway, as far as the budget, the local budget, expenditure budget that we're presenting, there was a $20,800 decrease in function 12, which was media services.
Okay.
Now, as far as the ESSER budget that I presented the other day, which I sent you an email about, was that we're proposing to fund 3 elementary librarians with the ESSER funds that we're going to receive. And also next Monday, you'll be that application will be on the agenda. So that on the ESSER presentation I gave last week, that's the only change on that. So therefore, those particular people that they're going to hopefully be able to employ going forward won't impact the local budget. It would be an addition as a purchase with the ESSER funds, if that makes any sense. And so that's,
So the way that y'all have presented taking ESSER funds and pulling some of the one-time expenses out of our local budget,
right.
we're in the deficit. If we were to do that correctly over the next 3 years,
Yes, sir.
it would push us back to a non-deficit, and it would build our fund back up, our fund balance up.
Correct, yes,
So-
that's correct.
Is that's with no, that's say we give no teacher raises in the next 3 years. That's how we would do that.
Employee raises.
Employee raises,
Yes.
sorry, yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then with the, let's see.
So let me jump in here
Sure.
quickly, because there are a lot of contingencies in that. You can look at, employee raises, you can look at additional programming that we may add. You may look at some of the cost of just operating the district. If we project that if everything stays the same, and then you can also have, an increase in ADA and enrollment, which would really help us as
Right.
well. But if everything stays the same at this point, based on where we're plugging in the extra funds, we'll eliminate the deficit that we actually have.
In year two, we're
Yeah.
still deficit in year two,
Yeah,
right?
so, we're in the three point something $1 million deficit right now. And if we look at it, we're gonna take,
3.9 million.
all right, so 3.9. How much are we, if we're using the ESSER funds, we're gonna save,
No, if we're going to say
all right,
$3 million, about $3 million a year.
yeah, but to offset the deficit though, I don't think, we won't be able to offset the deficit in 1 year. That's
No,
what we
it's
have.
gonna be over
Yeah,
the
over
3
the
years
over
of
the
that
3 years,
gift.
Correct.
and everything stays the same.
Right.
We will definitely have a surplus at the end of the third year.
Because the
Correct.
gift, part of the gift has to go to, as a sunk cost to learning gaps.
Yes,
Part of the gift.
20%.
Part of it, which we've said we're spending more than 20% on
Correct.
that. So half of it's gone there, and the other portion of it is the 3 FTEs we're talking about adding, which doesn't do anything to build our fund balance.
no, it doesn't. So the 3 FTEs that we're adding for the library position, we had a conversation with the elementary principals, and we've really been trying to build foundational programs across all of our elementary schools. Literacy is absolutely critical to us. It's even more critical now since we've had this pandemic and a learning loss. So we wanted to establish those positions while we have the ESSER funds. Now, 3 years from now, we will have to assume those positions with local funds, but we can do some things budget-wise to actually offset the cost of those 3 positions. And I think they're critical as we continue to move forward with our kids and raising the academic rigor in our schools. So
Yes, sir.
I know at the last meeting, I think it was Matt that asked about the supplies under the school leadership. That was like a 24% jump from like 58,000 to 72,000. But I think I was explaining that that included some things for summer school.
Correct, there's like $12,800 with, from summer school, yes, correct.
Okay. And Coach Strong, I think he was gonna hire me to be a door greeter in that budget.
What did you say?
I'm gonna be a door greeter. Is that okay? Somewhere in there, Coach Strong, did you tell me I could be a door greeter?
don't buy into that call.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, Coach?
I'm
Somewhere in there, Coach, I know I'm included. Didn't I hear that right, man? Somebody help me?
But still, I think you're included where we are, where we get taxed.
Okay. I looked at that, Coach, I really thought I saw Priscilla somewhere in there. Okay, I'm sorry. Do agree, think about that, Coach. I look good at the door. But that's,
So I guess the question for me is, and I guess that I have for y'all is, as a board, looking at the increases in pay, the Model 1, Model 2, Model 3 that were presented, I don't remember when that was, a couple meetings ago?
Yes,
by
It was presented originally, I think, at the workshop.
Yeah,
and then-
some, a while back. I mean, where do we stand on that going into the next meeting? Because we're gonna have to make a decision on pay raises, knowing that if we were to, what Dr. Scott just said on ESSER, what does that look like? Can we do mixed models, meaning could we do a model 1 of a 1% and then revisit again and do something in December once ADA, we know what our ADA is gonna be for the fall, to try to be fiscally conservative? I don't know. Just would love to hear thoughts of board members and Dr. Scott on where that.
Ken, we talked about that before, haven't we?
Yes, I mean, we can, there is, mid-year, you can do a
retention bonus.
retention bonus.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And my suggestion to the board, no matter which model you pick, is that you leave yourself the option of coming back and having an option to come back and discuss employee compensation. And at that time in December, Rick, you said it was something that we need.
Okay, well, and I'll nail this down, but we got information from TASBO that whenever we adopt, whatever you all adopt at the next meeting, that there needs to be a verbiage in the motion that would leave us, will tell the public that there's a possibility the board may, mid-year, address the compensation again with a retention bonus or something like that, so that the funds could be available and also that it's been informed. So it's not, it's, the motion needs to be presented in that way,
Okay.
which I'll find out for sure the word, so, because we're trying to, I think a lot of districts over the state were doing that, and then it came up that they didn't tell, it wasn't adopted, that procedure wasn't adopted whenever people did these things. So therefore, if we have our motion down the way it needs to be, then it should be, they said it would be just fine with that. So it makes, hopefully it makes sense. But
Okay. Yes, that does.
we have to address it at the same time for like next Monday when we do our job.
So I have a general statement for the board, if I may, Mr. President, is that, one, cost that's not in here, and it shouldn't be that much, is that we need to do a facility study, almost a maintenance review as we're moving into new buildings, and then we have the old buildings left, while all at the same time, we're trying to look for proposals for possibly building a swimming pool. We have to have all these conversations at once, because we only have one pile of money, and I'm probably gonna come back to you all maybe as soon as Monday to formally advise the administration to move forward with this, because we're gonna have to make some tough decisions really soon. We've held on to some dilapidated buildings that even if we fix them up, honestly, we couldn't go back into because of current ADA standards. So we have buildings that we're actually paying for that we're no longer using. And I will say this, and just being very frank, I understand the historical value in some of the buildings and then some of the other things, but this comes with a cost. And honestly, with a $3 million budget, I don't really know if you can afford. I would recommend that you keep doing business with the old buildings like we have before. I don't have any concrete data, but that would be my suggestion to the board, is that you all advise the administration to move forward and give you some round numbers to go along with some of the other projects that we're thinking long-term for our kids.
Correct, because these buildings that we have that we're, no matter what, we have to insure them, which is, and also keep utilities on in these buildings, and so, it may not seem like a lot of money per month, but when you add it up per year, and then you multiply it times however many years, I mean, it really comes into play where it's a total of a large amount of money.
How much do we're paying, what, $100,000 keep the old junior high going
We owe,
a year?
no,
Maintenance and.
about $100 altogether, yes,
$100,000.
because it's about,
Over 10 years, so $1 million.
So $1 million is what we spent.
So all
Exactly.
together,
That is correct.
all together, we're probably right, because I know when we had this conversation a couple of years ago, we still had the
McAllister.
McAllister building, we were probably right at about $750,000.
Right.
Since they've actually been closed and we haven't been utilizing the building, so just add a little more to that. And
So what do we need to do? How do we move forward with the facility study?
Okay, well, I contacted, I visited with Officer Trevino with Walsh Gallegos and to get his input as to, who to go to get a facility study started. And he's telling me that really that his opinion is to contact TASB Facility Services.
Okay.
And they have one of their, I looked at their website today and yesterday, they have like one of the services that they perform is exactly what we want. And so I want to contact them tomorrow to get the ball rolling and move forward with that. And as Oscar said, they're in the school business, so it's really good to use someone like that as opposed to someone in the industry that's not in the school business. So,
I'm in full support, but when you find out, could you just give us a ballpark estimate of what the
sure,
quote would be?
I can do that. Whatever, when they give it to me, then we can forward that information to you. Okay, so I want to make a phone call in the morning and get the ball rolling.
I mean, it's fiscally responsible thing to do is at least get the numbers behind what we own and how much we're spending to maintain it.
And we're definitely gonna negotiate with TASB around the price, which is not gonna take the first one that they give us, and if we have to shop around and do some other things, they're pretty reasonable.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Rick, I don't know if I missed it or not, but last meeting we talked about, seeing an adjusted ADA number for not using the ADA from last year, but using like a historical trend ADA. Did we ever get a higher number on the ADA doing that method, or?
Yes, it was way out of the cash flow historically. It's around 400,000, 429. I think I came up with 426 additional funds per year if our ADA increased up to that history.
History level, so 400,000, okay.
Yeah.
And just to recap, also, I think that the group that did the study on like what our ADA did, they had the budget and everything, they made the comment, I think everybody was in agreement then too, we've made a lot of strides to get our teacher salaries back to being competitive to what the neighboring areas are doing. If we just do nothing, we're gonna lose ground again, and then we're gonna have to do something drastic again later on.
The only area, if I remember correctly, that we were below market was that 5-year span. Is that
Because you have that line across the middle of it.
Yes.
And so we
I
were.
think it was 5 to 10 years.
So
I think we just barely got above the 0 to 5. We were barely above it, but then that 5 years, we're still losing people.
So I think if we were to go at it as, let's choose a conservative model and then add inside that motion to have the December re-look at, let's do some type of retention, something. Or getting a budget where it's not in the red.
The only thing about if we do a December retention bonus or whatever is that whenever correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're trying to entice new teachers to come to the area, that's not gonna come across as a salary. So
Right.
yeah, you did give the teachers or the staff some extra money and your total may have been higher than the surrounding, but whenever we're going out there and promoting Bay City, it looks as it's lower, just something to keep in mind.
But on the flip side, if you did like a Model 1 with a retention bonus, the public might see you gave a raise in a year where most districts didn't.
Didn't.
And so it may not be as much up front. You treat your current employees good by giving them a retention bonus if the budget is able to support it. And then you still gave a raise in a year where, COVID just devastated our budget.
So are we thinking that most districts around us are gonna do a 0 bonus?
I think they're having a conversation,
Yeah.
but I don't know what they're doing.
I think a lot of districts across Texas are having a
I'm
conversation.
sure a lot of districts across Texas, but I'm hearing like, just say, Van Vliet and Tidehaven are adding on because they're getting all these extra students. So if they're adding on and getting extra students, I'm thinking they're probably not gonna do a 0 bonus either. And those are the people that we're competing with.
So what is your head, where is your head with the three options that are on the table?
And we're not taking action on this.
Yeah.
No,
It's okay to talk about it.
Conversation.
But yeah.
I'm just,
You're looking at a budget that's, we've got potential dollars coming in, and we've played a bunch of shell games to get local funds allocated, and we're still in the red, so.
right, well, I think that, I'm really thinking that our ADA is gonna be closer to the extra 400,000. So then even if we do option 2, that's only 150,000 over that 400,000 total. So I'm thinking in my mind, the lowest, so that we can keep on making ground, we don't lose the steam that we built up. I'm thinking the lowest I wanna go is the option 2. And then you can still do a bonus.
Hoping that ADA increases.
Right, because I mean,
Their funds. I mean,
If
there's
for
a
the
lot of
past,
hopes.
yeah, for the past 20 years, if we've had an ADA of 93%, last year we had 89. That's just me, I'm optimistic, but I'm thinking we're probably gonna be closer to our historic 93% than the 89. You know, and I don't wanna not give a teacher a raise because I'm living in fear from last year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Or a staff raise, not teacher raise. That's just me though, obviously.
And as a CFO, I need to remind everyone that a raise is forever.
Correct.
I mean, it's not like, we're talking about these dollars for this year going forward and the retention bonus, but always keep in your mind that it goes on, doesn't ever go away, which is great, but I'm just saying, just to remember.
But I mean, if we're not fully competitive with the districts around us, we just stop.
Well, I understand.
And that's,
But then
We're pretty
you're
competitive
faced
now.
with other really way tougher decisions.
Right.
I mean, this ESSER fund thing is a temporary gift
right,
to this district to sort of level set, fix roofs, do some things. And just like Rick said, if we're not thinking long-term about how this is gonna affect things, you're gonna kick that can out 3 years, and then you're really gonna have to make a tough decision. So, all I'm saying is we all just need to think about that.
And we'll have a little more in-depth discussion next week on it, and we can make a motion and action on this. I don't think we're gonna come to a consensus tonight, but even if we did, we couldn't.
yeah, I mean, we're just getting more information tonight, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the budget, Rick? You got any other comments?
I'm good unless someone has any other questions or they want to ask me.
No, I think what Mark was wanting to see was a side by side, you know, with increased attendance, right? And what that would look like instead of, you know, a ballpark figure. But I don't know if that's too much to ask for Monday's meeting.
What do you mean a side by side?
Using a historical
Projected ADA versus.
percentage, the 88% of attendance. rather
What?
than
Where our local funds would go at that point? Or what do you mean?
What the impact is to the budget. If we
In other words, if we increase back to our recent historical before COVID, what would it
Instead of
actually
using the
be?
91 point something, use the 94 that we think we can attain. in the
It's like
year.
more like 93.5.
I mean, basically, it's just gonna affect the bottom line.
Yeah, it's just
You're not
$400,000.
Right.
But seeing it on here
Well, I think.
Well,
is all I'm asking.
I mean, I can do is, a Excel schedule for sure. And, I mean, just for y'all to see.
All right, so you're looking for the ADA or the overall attendance?
The percentage.
So like that, I mean, the ADA that we're budgeting, that basing this budget on is 3,155, which is where we were now. And so what you're wanting to know is if those 3,155 ADA, if their attendance rate with that number went up to the historical levels, what would it be?
Yes. I thought you said that.
I did send
we
that.
did, it was 400 and,
I sent an email out.
We
Well, I mean, I sent it to Dr. Scott, and he sent it.
You sent it back out to us.
I was asking as if it could be plugged in here to show the impact of the budget. That's all.
Sure, I mean, I can add it to the schedule, but, I mean, I can add it to the schedule so you can see it, but as far as, I mean, I'll be glad, that's not a problem to add another schedule in there showing if, but as far as, just for a matter of information.
And I would say to the board that Rick actually takes a very conservative approach to the budgeting. So his numbers are typically lower than technically what's possible. And if in fact his projected numbers typically lower and we do get more, then that means on the back end, then we're still saving money.
Right.
He's never been, we'll get the model for you, but he's never been aggressive in saying, well, this is gonna happen, because then he's rather undershoot than overshoot.
Well, and like whenever we were talking at the last workshop, you know, I was thinking our historical attendance rate was 90, maybe 94%, but actually it was a little less.
It was 426.
Okay, 426,000.
Any other questions? Any other information?
No, sir.
Dr. Scott, any final words on the budget before we close it?
Not at this time. Again, we just wanna, we'll get past this budget season, but we're still looking maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line. And we have a lot of moving parts that we really need to sit down and have a collective conversation about. Long-term maintenance debt, facilities, possibly going out with the swimming pool. I mean, it's just a lot
Well,
of stuff.
like you
that's going
mentioned
to
about
impact.
the 313 playing in the
313,
field and all that
yes,
kind of stuff.
yes.
So,
And then again, some tough decisions, and you only have one pot of money.
Okay,
Thank you, Rick.
thank you very much.
Moving on. Item 6, communications plan overview and discussion. Our presenter is Grant McGalliard, Chief Communications Officer. Grant, how are you tonight?
Doing all right, sir. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Shouldn't have eaten that crunch bar. I got mouse hole.
There should be a vote on there.
Yep. All right, PC. Good evening, everyone. It's really exciting to talk to you all about this. I'm glad that we're having this workshop. I gotta be honest, I got a long PowerPoint here, but I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible because I'm excited about this stuff. So I'll start at the beginning. In January, we partnered with a company called Berman Bread out of San Antonio. They work with NGOs, nonprofits, school districts to kind of help them make a difference, right? Say, okay, this is your mission, how do we best execute it? I met with our representative from them, Kate Edwards, once a week from January until April, interviewing people. I know we interviewed you, Mr. Scarborough, Mr. Klepak, Dr. Scott, we were interviewed as well, actually. We had parents, students, community members, community leaders, young alumni, just to get a sense of our perspective and where we stand in the community, what we do well, what we can improve upon, and what people would like to see from us. As a result, this is what we came up with. The full page, the full plan, by the way, is in your board book. I encourage you all to read it. There's great stuff in it. The first thing we had to do is build a background. So when I say we, Kate did most of this. Collected statistics such as average teacher pay, accountability ratings, and graduation rates with ACISD, along with our competitors. Right? So education's not a competition, but when you're trying to increase retention rates and attract great teachers, you look at surrounding districts such as Vanderbilt, and Flashes. By the way, I should say retention and attracting great teachers were the two main focuses that ACISD was concerned with. This was back in January. We conducted interviews, as I mentioned. We analyzed our social media presence and practices. We compiled a SWOT, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, analysis of the district to identify negative perceptions, potential marketing opportunities. Before we did that, we also identified our guiding principles. There's 5 of them. There's our responsibility to communicate effectively with our stakeholders, Meaningful public engagement supports the district's goals. Effective communication is a two-way process involving both internal and external stakeholders. So, right, it's not just us disseminating information, it's us listening and getting feedback from people that matter most. Number 4 is probably the most important one. Comprehensive communication increases student achievement, enhances community and parent engagement, and strengthens pride and commitment. And finally, every employee in the district is an ambassador for our students and our schools. It's everyone's responsibility to tell our success stories. There are going to be a lot of words, maybe just a few words that you hear me say a lot tonight. Success is one of them. Telling stories is another. Celebrating is another. But what more is perception? And when we look at our strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and our strengths will be on the next slide, perception matters because there are facts and then there are what people may be, there's what's been misconstrued. And it may not be true, but we still have to address them, right? So let's look at our strengths. We have a wide variety of programs available to all students, career and technology education, and by the way, these are strengths that came up in these interviews. Obviously, we have a lot of great things going on at HCISD. Tremendous academic improvement in recent years. We're a one-to-one technology district, which was huge, especially as we all know heading into the pandemic. We have forward-thinking leaders and faculty, and we maintain a hometown feel, right, which is big, especially for a small town like Bay City. Perceived weaknesses include high teacher turnover, a low engagement with parents in the community, negative perceptions on social media, I'm sure we're all aware of that, a low teacher diversity that doesn't reflect our community, and community resistance to change, to make long memories. So if somebody's lived in Bay City all their life, they went to high school in 1990, something bad happened, that bad case lingers in their mouth. And if something good happened in 1990 that they liked, and we're changing that now, even if it's for the better, it's still going to, kind of leave a bad impression. It's something we have to overcome. I think a lot of, pretty much every small town has it, but so do Bay City. Opportunities include community excitement around athletics. Thank y'all, encouraged our brand new facilities, great teams. That's huge. We have opportunity to fold new teachers into the community. A lot of our community leaders are really excited about this. I know I talked to the manager of the Chamber of Commerce, Judge McDonald, or at least I did, Kate did, and they really want to help bring new teachers into Bay City. We have young leaders in the community. These include young alumni that are moving back. That's a base that we really need to tap into. We have a potential for partnerships with our high school programs, a lot of great businesses that we can partner with to help our students gain experience. I think Selena, the special programs and the Bridges program, how we kind of help older kids in special education groups find jobs, and even their volunteer jobs or part-time jobs. That's a partnership with our community. We can leverage a lot more of those. And Fueling Brains of Charity can help us get a foothold at a young age. If we get parents and students invested in basic ISD and pre-K and kindergarten, it's easier for us to hold on to them as they move through our school district. Okay, this is a tough slide. We have to address the negative. So I'm just going to start reading these perceptions that we heard during our interview processes and fact finding. Basic ISD is too large, okay? Class sizes and district in general. It lacks a small town country feel that it once had or that outlying districts currently have. So we have the hometown feel for some, others think we're losing it. Basic ISD has a tarnished reputation in the region as being underperforming and unsafe with discipline and bullying issues. Outlying districts are straight up better. Junior highs out of control, all the kids who is fighting misbehave. Basic ISD, this is the tough one for me to read, can do better communicating internally and externally. There's plenty of good news, but it is rarely shared or celebrated. All the community hears is negative in our schools. Stakeholders want two-way communication mechanisms. There's a lack of a shared district unified message. Well, this plan is what's going to help solve that. Basic ISD does not pay its teachers, as well as outlying districts will get teacher turnover. We're not receptive to having parents involved. We are not focused on creating a diverse workforce. And there are key leaders who do not live in Bay City and are not engaged with the community and are not accessible. Okay, that's part of what we're facing, and that's part of what we're going to address. So now that we've identified what we have to do, what we have to overcome, here are 5 steps that we're going to take to address these issues. Our action plan begins with community relations. We're going to establish informal dialogue sessions. So that's coffee chats, lunches with Dr. Scott, and between him and students and teachers and young alumni, parents as well, just to get kids' perspectives. Hey, what do you like? What are we doing? What's happening that we're not hearing? We're going to promote our school board meetings. Community engagement is great. You saw that tonight. We need to make sure the community knows, hey, this is what's going on, and you have a chance to speak about it. The more they know, the more comfortable they feel with us. We can establish district membership and representation in community events and organizations, so Lions Club, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, faith-based organizations. Maintain an up-to-date website that focuses on images and stories. That's certainly a priority for me this year. Showcase our new facilities, including community tours, in-person and virtual. Once Linda Roberts gets a little bit more developed, I'm going to do a virtual tour. I'm going to have Ms. Wendell, Dr. Scott, kind of lead us through and show us the cool new spaces that we have for our kids. Meet with advisory groups and partnerships, again, I mentioned faith-based communities and young alumni, and conduct annual surveys addressing the perceptions of the district. Second step is media relations. Establish a positive and consistent relationship with media representatives. Proactively reach out to our media with press releases and story ideas. Distribute information from meetings and prepare news articles for regular publications, such as school news and websites. I will say personally, I have experience as a journalist. I have experience covering school districts. I know what a good school district PIO does and what a good school district communications person does. So I'm excited to lean on that and say, hey, I know what y'all like, we're going to give it to you. Third step is storytelling. This is the crux of the plan. We're going to attend special events that involve the community. We're going to review publications such as Paul Prince's monthly newsletters and community reports. This is one I'm really excited about. Establish a district blog that empowers guest bloggers, students, teachers, admin, alumni to give a behind-the-scenes look at success stories. I know Kenny Holmes is already working on that right now. I'm really excited about it. That's just, hey, 300 words. What'd your class do this week? Parents are going to love to see it. If you're a student, we could have had Bryce write a blog about his experience at the state track meet or academic events, things of that nature, just to really personalize the successes that we have in basic ISD. We're going to develop targeted communications for early childhood families. This goes back to fueling brains. We're going to promote recognition programs. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And overall, the goal is to celebrate whether student achievement, teacher appreciation, or critically and often overlooked staff. I think one of the posts that we had on Facebook that did the best was Coach Sy, I was calling Coach Mr. Sy over transportation, shared with me the retirement ceremony, half one of his employees, like 350 shares on Facebook. It's the best thing we did. People love hearing about everyday success stories, and that's something we can certainly do. Engagement's next. I mentioned advisory councils earlier. Chief Communications Officer should spend several hours a week at campuses to document the good and create a content library. Getting out of my office, that's great. Recognition programs, including outstanding teachers, staff, alumni, students. We do a great job here at board meetings with celebrations of excellence. We can continue to do that on a daily basis. We can establish strategic partnerships with local businesses and organizations, as I mentioned earlier. Oh, wrong button. And finally, staff ambassadors. So we're going to develop district communication protocols. We have some in place already, and I'm working on a couple other ones. We're going to offer assistance and training in various communication tools, so principals and key administrators become communicators for the district. Train all staff on becoming Black Hat ambassadors and create a submission process for teachers, staff, and admin to answer 4 to 5 simple questions for weekly Black Hat spotlight. So that's even, hey, you're a 7th grade science teacher at basically junior high. Where are you from? Where'd you go to college? What's your family like? Maybe a fun fact about you. We just continue to put faces to names and put faces to basic ISD for our community to see. We can identify a school-based PR representative that will work with the district office to provide updates and stories. So one person in each campus saying, hey, this is what we got going on this week. Love to have you here. Great, let's share that. So what's it going to look like? On our district website, we're going to create a calendar. Okay, Granbury ISD is a great one. Check it out. To both inform community of events and help hold us accountable to finding and sharing stories. So when you go to bcblackhats.net, there it is. That's what's coming up this week in academics, athletics, fine arts. Are there any STAR tests coming up, things of that nature? Parents can see it, and it will help us be accountable. We'll maintain constant internal communication among our leaders to ensure all positive stories are shared. Empower all staff members to be an active part of our communication strategy. Emphasize video content. I love to read, but video gets shared more. It's a simple fact. And like I said, when you put faces and pictures and images to events and facts, it's a lot easier. I can tell you that kids are happy, but I can also show you a video of kids running around recess, and that hits more. Emphasize creation of the district blog, as I mentioned, to maintain personal feel and share successes. Prioritize emotion, connect with everyone. Facts are important. We do a great job in this district of sharing facts with people and information, need to know information. But what we need to do and improve upon more is prioritizing emotion. We have a tool for this. We're going to analyze the social reach by a partnership with Meltwater. It's a company that analyzes social media effectiveness. Small districts use it, and the PGA Tour uses it. It basically just says, hey, these are the kinds of posts that you share that do well, and this is what doesn't do well. So I know a lot of this sounds social media focused, and it's not just that. We're going to continue to place ads on local publications. You mentioned a billboard. We can certainly look into that. But a lot of things happen online, all right? So we're trying to make sure we own that space. It all culminates in what I call the year of proactivity. So COVID-19 made it difficult for us to celebrate as much as we normally would. Communication was focused on disseminating information, not sharing successes. The district often found itself reacting, not being proactive. I include myself first and foremost. The 2021-22 is a year of proactivity. We're going to hit the ground running after the summer of planning and laying the groundwork, that's designing graphics, building a calendar on the site, and establishing routines. When I say routines, that means, hey, every Monday I know I'm going to go to the high school, Ms. Red's like, hey, I got a great story for you. This class did something amazing, or this kid is killing it in band, or whichever it is. Tuesday I'll be at Cherry, Wednesday at City Homes. And that way those campuses also know, hey, we need to make sure we have stories in mind that we can share on our sites. The newspapers will be aware that I'll be sending them information, or we will as a district. So I've been talking nonstop. Do you have any questions?
No, I think it's great. I'd just like to make a comment. That was really informative and I'm excited about it. I would ask that you get the board involved as much as you can.
Of course.
Where we are not going to interfere.
Okay.
So I know Dr. Scott tried to do a lot of the coffee chats a couple years ago. I think if he had 2 or 3 board members with him, maybe we could draw him some excitement, get Dr. Scott to the board. You can ask anything you want of either representative. And we used to do breakfasts with the chamber for new employees. We get to know them, and they stood up, said what college they were at, and
We're bringing that back. We'll have new chamber as a new employee breakfast. I'll send you the details for that.
And then, 2 years ago, we started the Watchdog program, which I was heavily involved in, and we had a lot of success and a lot of dads running around playing soccer with kids, and those are all the things that I envision when you say that, and COVID kind of did shut that down, so hopefully we get, that going again, and,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I mean, on the billboard, I wrote that down, so first.
Yeah, I'll But no, I think when you speak about parent engagement, I think, as much as I talk about long-term memory, I think there's recency bias as well, where we weren't able to engage with parents as much as we would have liked last year. Those programs are exactly the type of stuff we can bring that forward.
And I love the facility view too. Like you talked about, like I think if we're gonna sell this district, we got great facilities, we've got all these things, get your drone out, go over the stadium and all that, it'd be awesome.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and we have great volunteers that will help us with that too. So yes, sir.
I think this is great, and this, I think, is something that we've had multiple conversations with, how do we get it out, what we're doing, and the success of this district, and I think what you just covered, and the study that happened is hitting the nail on the head.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Because
Wherever you go, you don't have to worry about James. All you have to do is say camera and James. So you don't ever have to worry about James and the camera.
And the funny thing is, most of my work is done behind the scenes.
He is gonna be on the camera. But, I love this, and I agree, this is the second time tonight, put this on record, I agree with James. Put this on record. But I think this is wonderful. I do agree with him that the board needs to be out in the community.
absolutely.
Out in the community, and I am going to say this one more time, Jill, in the community. And I am going to say again, Jill, in my community. With the people that looks more like me community. Because that's what I'm not hearing. They're saying they don't know you because they don't see you. And Angela, that you saw tonight, is giving a really big event on Saturday. And it's a black-owned business, market day. And it was really neat. Dr. Scott and I got to go to one, and it was really neat. Black-owned businesses, little young entrepreneurs starting their own businesses, and it was the neatest thing. So that is a starting point. Jill saw it on Facebook and quickly said, I want to go. I want to take my family to this. So I told her I would call her, and we are going out on Saturday. It is really neat. Dr. Scott, yes, as a board, we need to be involved in that. We need to be seen, not heard, but seen more in the community. And let's do it. I'm ready, Grant.
Good.
Sing it. We can do it, Lily Robbins. Yes, we can. Oh, yeah, we're gonna do that. We can do it. I believe we can. We can do this.
have anybody that's employed by basically ISD that is like a Photoshop or like just a content creator?
Well, that's a great question. I shouldn't have experience with it, but I think that
We got some students that probably.
we definitely do. I know that those use classes. They do a lot of video work, but I know they also work a lot with Adobe, and those kind of tools.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure a lot of programs in high school work.
Absolutely, we
Yeah.
have graphic design as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that if by me being somebody that tinkers with Adobe, like it's awesome and it's extremely powerful. But if you don't know the right shortcut or whatever, it can also one small thing take you forever.
Absolutely.
You know, so if we don't have somebody that's like an Adobe certified, professional, then I was gonna ask, would it be beneficial to reach out and say, hey, here's our content from this week, and it's that class's project for the week to pump out, so many pictures or whatever, just to help us get more content out.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think also helps get those kids experience.
Right.
Their class. Yes, sir. I think that's a great idea. Absolutely.
Because I think whenever we had the graduation, there was a video that was done by Gene Studios, and then y'all sent a link out, but that was a live event, so we couldn't, do any prep, and then it took a little bit of time to get the video out. So if we had them just constantly like churning on stuff as part of their class, then we could always have fresh media content out there to share and just, help in the process.
I completely agree. Ms. Durfee's great, and her class does great work as well. So yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out for sure.
It's another success story to sell.
Exactly. Hey, look at what these kids can do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of districts that would kill to have that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think pulling kids in wherever we can in this plan, to have them be a part of it, is how you're going to be able to sell that story. Of these kids are now buying into what we're doing and pushing it out themselves. And they're taking ownership. And that's what, it's been full circle.
It absolutely is. I think it also creates a little bit of healthy competition too. So, hey, I want to be better at this, so I can get my video shape. Yes, exactly. Yes, ma'am.
And not that our, say, football team needs any more help in publicity, because we were doing great back then. We're gonna keep that up. But, whenever, if there's a more of a fine arts-minded child that may not care as much about football, but once he gets, I get to edit the video, and I get to edit these photos and everything, then he starts getting all excited about it, and then his parents want to come and, join it, so it brings more people involved than just the kids that are on the football team.
Absolutely.
Coach, you want a weekly hype video?
No, we get the.
Like the NBA teams have?
You gotta do that, do the song that, the old Bulls have, have a star. Coach standing there you're best city black guys!
So he directing?
Yeah, I was a big MJ fan, so I saw smoking in ceremonies.
You remember that one, video you did, what was it called, Friday night highlight video you did that one year with Patrick Tim? That was the best video, and I linked it to, Ty, and he never returned our video. And I watched that video, Coach, you know what it is?
He's in St. Louis.
But I mean, you have it.
No, I don't have it.
You don't have copies? That was the newest video. That would be awesome. That would be awesome with something like that. That was nice.
I think Clay Green might have a copy of that video. He posts it every now and then.
Brandon, I like the plan. I think everybody's on board with it.
Cool. Glad to hear that. Yes, I'm particularly very excited about it.
Some more vividly than others, but everybody's on board.
It's been the story of the night.
Thanks for all your work.
Hold on. One more thing. Yeah, we want to tell the board about, I know we're talking about marketing a district, but Trustee DeWitt asked about incentives for teachers, for employees, and I actually learned something as we had a discussion on last Friday, is that we have a lot of incentives our employees, if you only need medical care for yourself, we give that to them at no cost, when in actuality, the cost per employee for that is, what was it, $3 something, $4 something a month? $311 that the district actually assumes for each employee. So if you come here, then, and it's just you, you have free medical, you have life insurance up to $15,000 free for each employee as well. And then in addition to that, it's something that we all know about, is our Glory at Home. So Grant, you're gonna be charged with, whether you do it or not, you're gonna be charged with, creating a video so we can actually promote that. Cause again, these are some costs that, I mean, this district and this board just, I mean, gives to employees that I don't think that we've actually highlighted as much as we possibly could. And again, $15,000 in life insurance just for working here is absolutely an additional benefit. So we're gonna circle back and talk about some of those things that we can actually share with employees, because some of the employees might be able to know. Yes, sir. That sounds great.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
With our incentives, the district does a really good job of, when our teachers do have to do something that's mandated or that doesn't, and our district does a phenomenal job of compensating them for that. With, like Reed Academy, there are teachers that they have to do it because TA has said they have to do it, where our district has decided that they are going to pay their teachers to participate in that. And I don't know if people understand that, but that is something very unique. Most districts just make teachers do it. And when you read blog posts and Facebook posts about it, they're just having to do all of this extra work, and the district is committed to compensating our teachers. And I think it's a great thing to be having.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I think we don't do a good enough job bragging about how awesome our school district and everyone is here at Bay City High School and Bay City IC. Oh, I'm biased, say Bay City High School.
You're bragging about yourself.
I would like to share a success story that actually happened because for big events like football, graduation, I'm just limited with the staff that I can use to help me. And for the last couple of years, my colleagues have stepped up and helped me, and they go and help me for football games and graduation and all these major events. And I'm pleased to share that we have a student coming back from Thai Heaven because Mrs. Peg, our principal professional photographer, went into the pictures at graduation, and the young lady saw her and realized that we have a health program that they don't have in Thai Heaven, and saw her taking pictures, and that was the connection, and we're having her back next year.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
That's great. Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Any final comments?
Grant, thank you very much.
Good job.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Good
Grant.
job.
Okay, so that's gonna be fun. We gotta get their budget first, and then we get to have some fun.
Right.
Dr. Scott, would you like to make any final closing comment before we adjourn?
No, I just want to thank the board for its commitment to the team of 8, for us actually building as a team and moving forward and continue to do great things for this district. Super excited about being here. Hopefully I can retire from here. But just the amazing work that's being done. Some of the conversations that we're actually having around the budget and decisions that we're making. Some of you have even lended your professional backgrounds to help us move the district forward. And the administration really appreciates that as well. So I look forward to working with you all. I look forward to continuing to support the wonderful leadership that we have in our schools, and super excited about the future.
Item 7, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion been made by trustee Westmore to adjourn. Second motion been taken by trustee Murray. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion adjourned.